Hey, so today we are going to do a couple different makeup techniques using different foundations, and we're going to try to see if we can get it so it does not cake in our lines and wrinkles. Here I am using Trader Joe's Daily Facial Sunscreen, which also apparently acts as a primer. I'm not a big primer fan, but I'm using it as a primer today, as well as a sunscreen. Obviously, I live in Florida, so that's a non-negotiable. Here are my lines and wrinkles up close. Aren't they awesome? So the first makeup I tried is Becca's Ultimate Coverage 24-Hour Foundation. This foundation is very thick and it dries very quickly. So I pumped one little pump on my hand, and then I put some on an eyeshadow brush that was densely packed, and then I just basically filled in my lines, and then I just buffed them with the other end, which was not quite as dense of a brush. I've been watching some tutorials to see if this actually works. Basically, it's like spackling. You take your foundation, instead of putting it all over your forehead or all over your face, and just use tiny, tiny, minuscule amounts, and just basically you're spackling. So I tried it just by itself, again, very, very teeny little bit, and looking at the results so far, I did not think it was very effective. It's just, this particular foundation, it's too thick, it's too dry, and it's, if you don't get to it and blend it immediately, it dries down super fast. So the next thing I tried with this particular foundation, and you'll see here in a minute, was I took another pump and I added just a drop of facial oil to make it less dense and less dry. So you'll be seeing that here in just a moment. I color corrected my nose before I started my makeup, and I regret that now. I thought the red on my nose was obnoxious. Well, the green, no. I record using my iPhone in natural light, so I don't have super high def camera results when it comes to what I'm looking at in the mirror, and what you're seeing isn't translating that well. But when I was looking at it in the mirror, I could easily see that this foundation was still gathering and looking very cakey. I think it's probably the foundation itself. I don't think that I would probably use this type of foundation regardless. Even with the oil, it still was very, very cakey, even in minimal amounts. So I decided to take it off. And here I had washed my face, applied moisturizer, and now I am applying some hydrating primer. And while that is setting, I am gonna go ahead and prime my eyes for eyeshadow using Laura Gellar's waterproof eye primer. Foundation is Nars. It's the glowy formula. I love this formula. It's very lightweight. I thought that I would have better results. So here we are. I am very gently and very minimally pressing it into my forehead lines and spackling it like I did before. This was a little better. I think that probably no matter what I use, I wouldn't be happy, because the lines on my forehead are just too deep. You know, they're not fine lines and wrinkles. They are straight up deep wrinkles, and I have very large pores. So I believe that it's important for someone with this type of skin problem to use probably a lighter foundation very minimally and spackle it. I think that's a good idea. I'm just going to let it sit here for a minute. It might look better. I'm going to look at it again later. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and put on the rest of my foundation. So I'm still continuing to use much less foundation here. I am patting it in slowly in some areas. You wouldn't know that it's slow because I've got this on high speed, but I took my time and I just more meticulously and carefully applied. And the result was really good on my face. You know, my forehead area it's just not going to look that great, but the way that I applied my makeup today using less foundation was just much better. This product is actually an eye pencil. It's a jumbo eye pencil, but I like the color to try to tone down the lines between my nose and my mouth and around my mouth, because there's so much shadowing that I find that this white color just drowns out that droopy, you know, laxity issue that I have. The nasolabial folds. I have to buff it out quite a bit and work it for quite a while, but I just like it better than regular contour sticks, unless I could find one that I really like. I don't have a concealer that works as well concealing the darkness around my mouth that has a decent consistency. I do have a concealer that's not completely white, but it's a little drying, so this one's just creamier. Okay, we're going to go on now to the contour. Now, as you know, I've told you about that darkness on my cheek, so I bring my contour on my cheek up a little bit higher to try to detract from that. So, and I also use contour along my jawline as well as to try to minimize my chin. My chin and my nose are long, and so obviously, you know, I'm practicing at making those look not quite so prominent. The way that I situated my camera today was a little bit too high on the stand, so my face is closer to the camera, but you can't see my whole face at one time, so I apologize for that. I explained in the very beginning of these videos that I am not a makeup artist. I do not have professional equipment. I do the best I can with what I have, so if it's a little subpar today, just please forgive me. forehead check. It's looking okay. I learned a little bit more today about baking this side of my nose contour. So that's what I'm doing here is I'm applying some powder that is very finely milled, and it is good for dark spots and shading. So I am applying this powder to certain parts of my forehead and other parts of my face just to tone it down a little bit. But I'm going to try to bake it on the side of my nose and see if that will just put the icing on the cake as far as helping this contour for my nose. The Nars, even with the powder now, it's not looking terrible. I can't be mad at the makeup. It's definitely my lines and wrinkles. They're just a little bit unforgiving, but it's better. Here I am going to go ahead and quickly apply my eye makeup. Here I'm just brushing away all that powder that I had baked around my nose. This is a blush I got from a company called Farmasi. It's a peach tone. I don't think you can get it anymore, but it's kind of bronzy, peach, glowy. I really like it. So I decided to use it today. I haven't used it in a very long time. It just lights up the whole face. I came outside into the direct sunlight to have a look at this. I'm doing a voiceover because there were dogs barking and it was hard to hear me talk. So the makeup on my forehead actually looks pretty good. It doesn't look cakey. I mean, obviously, you know, I'm not going to be able to hide the lines and wrinkles without medical intervention, but you know, the makeup looks good. Using less of it with less powder is a good idea. I think the rest of my face makeup looks pretty good as well, so I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out today.